A new Tecmo NFL season is upon us. How did our reigning conference champions do in their season openers? Aaron Rodgers is the big story from the offseason. How did he handle gelling with the Jets? And what was life like for the first career games of our three rookie QBs? All this and more on Tecmo Rewind. Hello and welcome to Tecmo Rewind. I'm your host Joe, here to bring you all of the highlights from around the league. Well, whenever a new season starts, so many amazing questions open up. How will certain teams do? Will the new drafted rookies be able to make a name for themselves, especially the first rounders? And most importantly, can the repeat champs finally repeat this time? It's been almost 20 years since we've had that happen. The Chiefs trying to be the first one to do that since the 2003-2004 Patriots. They host the Lions. Mahomes rolls to his right and throws for Kadarius Toney. These two hooked up quite a bit throughout today, as you'll see. 56-yard reception. Then Mahomes, all sorts of time, looking for a man, throws to Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney, yep, it's a juke. 7-0, Chiefs take the lead. Lions, Jared Goff. I don't know what he's doing here, but it seems to work. He throws for Josh Reynolds, who's already in Chiefs territory by the time he gets the ball. Can he? Could he? Will he? He will not. But an 80-yard reception, that's still pretty good. And it leads to Goff with the handoff to former Bear David Montgomery, who punches it in from 2 yards out. Next drive, Mahomes rolls to his left and throws to his right. This doesn't normally work. But because it's Patrick Mahomes, of course it does. It's Kadarius Toney who gets a pretty nice 69-yard reception. That leads to this. Mahomes looks for Toney again in the end zone, but it's C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That's for the Super Bowl. Goff now gets the ball back, throws it for Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown is easily the best weapon the Lions have on offense, and he gets a pretty good 54-yard reception. That leads to this 16-yard touchdown pass to Reynolds. It's 14-7 Lions. Next drive for Kansas City. Play action by Mahomes. Rolls to his right. Looking. Throws for Marquez Valdes-Scantling, but he way overthrows him and instead finds Cameron Sutton for the interception at the end of the quarter. However, first play of the drive for the Lions, that offensive line breaks down and Nick Bolton gets the sack. They're forced to punt. Second quarter. Patrick Mahomes. Okay, just try to fix yourself up from that last mistake. Rolls to his right. Throws for Kadarius Toney. Overthrows him a little, but Toney's able to dive and catch it. Probably prevents him from scoring. So you know what? Let's see what the runners can do. Hands it off to Isaiah Pacheco, who runs right in easily from 2 yards out. It's tied at 14. The Lions are able to orchestrate a drive where Goff throws for Brock Wright from 9 yards out. It's 21-14 Lions. Mahomes throws for MVS again. This time, Mahomes doesn't make the mistake. Instead, it's MVS who drops the ball. It's picked up by Derek Barnes on a fumble. That leads to this 48-yard field goal by Riley Patterson at the end of the half. It's a 24-14 game for the Lions. Third quarter, Lions get the ball back first. Jared Goff hands it to David Montgomery. Has no one in his way. He strolls in from 11 yards out. It's 31-14 Lions. Mahomes looks for his favorite target and finds Travis Kelce his favorite target. However, Kelce, when he's tackled, drops the ball. It's picked up by rookie Brian Branch, who's going to give the Lions some new chances. And Goff dropping back. Well, worked last time. Not going to work this time. Goff is sacked by Nick Bolton. So he says, you know what? Don't worry. I got my own tight end that can handle this. Brock Wright, go long, man. Brock Wright jumps up with an amazing catch. And that's a 56-yarder. He avoids one tackle and is tackled just shy of the goal line. But you know what? Toss it to Jahmyr Gibbs, who uses his legs for a 3-yard touchdown. Mahomes says, hey, I got a runner that's got legs too. Here you go, Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco runs it in from 5 yards out. So it's 38-21. Goff says, hey, I know Gibbs has legs, but did you know that he's got hands too? Jahmyr Gibbs. Touchdown Lions. It's 45-21. Then Mahomes, you got to put something together, but that offensive line not helping. It's a Cam Sutton sack to go with his pick. Then, 4th and 1. Pacheco, he's stopped. Did he get the first down? No, he didn't. He stopped short. It's a turnover on downs. And Goff is going to win this one for the Lions, even as he gets sacked for a safety and make it 45-23. Amir McNeil's just going to seal it away with a 4-yard sack. The Detroit Lions upsetting the Kansas City Chiefs 45-23. Detroit's got Seattle next week. Kansas City, they go down to Jacksonville. Well, the reigning AFC champs couldn't get a win. Can the reigning NFC champs? The Eagles certainly are going to try as they take on the New England Patriots in Foxborough. First quarter, Jalen Hurts looks for Devonta Smith. Unfortunately, he overthrows him a little bit, forces him to dive, he gets wrapped up, he gets strip tackled, and Jonathan Jones gets the ball back. However, later on in the Patriots drive, Mac Jones looks for Hunter Henry and instead overthrows him and finds Terrell Edmonds. You don't want to do that, Mac. That leads to Jalen Hurts handing it off to DeAndre Swift, the former Lion. Mac Jones says, hey, you have a former Lion, the team that was playing in the last game. I got a former Chief, Juju Smith-Schuster. Gets a score from 35 yards out. It's tied at 7. Then, at the end of the first quarter, Jalen Hurts looks for him. He finds him. It's A.J. Brown with a leaping catch. A.J. Brown, the best target he could possibly found on a 55-yard return to end the quarter. That leads to this Jake Elliott field goal from 36 yards out. It's 10-7 Eagles. Then, on the ensuing kickoff, Marcus Jones, he's at the 25, he's at the 35, he's at the 45, and that's where they're going to take him down. However, Mac Jones, looking for Hunter Henry, he finds him, so it's not Mac that makes the problem, it's Henry that does. Hunter Henry is unfortunately stripped. Then, next play, handoff to DeAndre Swift. He gets stripped, and unfortunately for the Patriots, both times the fumble was recovered by the Eagles. It's Cam Jurgens who gets it this time. That leads to this. Hurts saying, you know what? I'm just going to run it. I'm not going to hand it. I'm not going to throw it. I'm just running it. And he scores. It's 17-7 Eagles. Then, from about 1 yard back in his own end zone, Marcus Jones gets to the 35, the 40, and it's time to take him down there. And that leads to this Chad Ryland 34-yard field goal. It's 17-10 Eagles, though. End of the quarter. Jalen Hurts looking for someone. He gets sacked by Marcus Jones, and he's hurt. Not something you want to have if you're the Eagles. That is a nightmare scenario. So they have to bring in former second-round QB Marcus Mariota. Third quarter, Mac Jones gets wrapped up and taken down by Fletcher Cox. So he's like, you know what? Let's try this again. Parker! Devontae Parker, 50-yard pass. It's taken down at the 11. Next play, he says, you know what? I liked it the first time. How about I do it again? Parker! 11-yard touchdown in the back of the end zone. It's 17-all. But then, Marcus Mariota looks and fires for Devonta Smith. He doesn't get overthrown. He doesn't get wrapped up. He doesn't get stripped. Instead, he just gets tackled. But it's still a 76-yarder. That leads to Mariota with the play action. And bullet pass right to Quez Watkins. It's 24-17. On the ensuing kickoff, though, Marcus Jones, bobbing and weaving. He gets to about the 40. And then Mac Jones looks for Ramondre Stevenson. Instead, he finds Reed Blankenship. That's not good. However, the Eagles can't do anything with it. Mac Jones decides to run forward to try and get a better angle, but Brandon Graham wraps him up. Then, handoff to Ramondre Stevenson goes for it the Patriots' way. It's a 5-yard touchdown run. It's 24-all. Then Mariota gets sacked by Lawrence Guy to start the fourth quarter. They punt. Mac Jones gets wrapped up by Fletcher Cox again. They punt. Eagles, Mariota gets wrapped up by Lawrence Guy Sr. Can someone score? Thank you, kickers. Jake Elliott gets them a 27-24 lead. But Ramondre Stevenson says it's time for the heroics. 42-yard touchdown run. And that will eventually do it after an incomplete pass. Patriots win this one 31-27 over the defending NFC champs. Patriots will be taking on Miami next week. Eagles get Minnesota. So the reigning NFC champs couldn't win. The reigning AFC champs couldn't win. Could the previous AFC champs win? Well, the Bengals are in Cleveland taking on their in-state rivals, the Browns. First quarter, Browns actually get on the board first with a Dustin Hopkins 27-yarder. It's 3-0 Cleveland. But Joe Burrow, this is why he was drafted number 1 overall. Threads the needle, throws it for T. Higgins, who's going to take it 61 yards, not quite to the house, But Joe Mixon will get them the remaining 2 yards they need on the later part of the drive. It's 7-3. Next drive for the Bengals. Burrow throws for his favorite target, Jamar Chase. It's 14-3. Later on, Deshaun Watson in the second quarter decides, I'm going to take this myself. Runs for the first down, but as he's tackled, he fumbles it, and Trey Hendrickson's going to pick it up. So that gives the Bengals another chance. Burrow hands it off to Joe Mixon. Mixon makes the Browns look like they're made of Swiss cheese. Runs through them. It's a 40-yarder. And, well, might as well let him score. That's a 4-yard touchdown run. It's 21-3. Deshaun Watson says, hey, I got a running back of my own. His name is Nick Chubb. You can't forget about him whenever you're playing us. Nick Chubb is going to run it even farther than Mixon had. A 43-yard run. And that'll lead to this. Deshaun Watson says, you know what? That was so much fun looking at. I wonder if it's fun to do. Watson's going to run it in from 11 yards out. It's 21-10 now. Then on the ensuing drive, Chris Evans. No, not Captain America, but instead the football player. He's going to take it out 30 yards. However, on the drive, Burrow is sacked by Zadarius Smith. The Bengals are forced to punt. But Deshaun Watson looking for Chubb on the reception here. Instead, he finds Nick Scott. But on the ensuing Bengals drive, Zadarius Smith not needed. Dalvin Tomlinson will do. Second first same as the first. Dalvin Tomlinson. Both of those were 8-yard sacks, by the way, and it forces the Bengals to make a field goal from 60 yards. But it's Evan McPherson. You can't doubt Evan McPherson. On the first kickoff of the second half, Chris Evans. You know, maybe he is Captain America with how good he's doing. A 33-yard return. Mixon gets handed the ball, but he fumbles it. Fortunately, Tyler Boyd is there to recover it and get it into Cleveland territory. Almost a scoop and score on that one. However, Joe Burrow, he gets wrapped up by Zadarius Smith for a 5-yard sack. Smith says, and I'll do it again! 7-yard sack. Burrow does eventually drive him down the field and says, hey, Higgins, here you go. From 11 yards out, it's 31-10. But Cleveland, Nick Chubb, you cannot doubt the power this man has with his legs. He's like a horse. It's 22 yards out, 31-17. Burrow gets wrapped up again by Dalvin Tomlinson from an 8-yard sack. And then again for a 4-yard sack. Dalvin Tomlinson having a heck of a day. So, Bengals forced to punt. And a throw for Njoku instead just gets picked off by Cam Taylor-Britt. Dalvin Tomlinson says, hey, I'm not done. The third quarter's not done yet. This is my scene. Another sack. This went for 3 yards. So, Bengals. Myles Garrett gets in on the action for a 3-yard sack. They're forced to punt. Watson says, hey, let me try the throw. Nope. DJ Reader says, I can sack too. Twice. 2 8-yard sacks in a row. And then Logan Wilson says, let me get in on this. So, Deshaun Watson in a deep ball situation throws to David Njoku. It's a turnover on downs. So the Bengals, Burrow just says, you know what? Jamar needs to be thrown to. Throws for him in the back of the end zone. It's 38-17. Then Donovan Peoples-Jones. The Peoples-Jones. A 72-yard return. He's going to get taken down in the red zone, sadly, so he doesn't score. But you know what? That's what Nick Chubb's for. Here you go, Nick. A 6-yard touchdown run to punch it in, make it 38-24. Dalvin Tomlinson says, I'm not done yet today, Joe. Takes him down for 5 yards. So you know what? Just give it to Evan McPherson a kick. And he gets it from 53 yards out. It's 41-24. But you know what, David Njoku? You know, we feel bad for you. You get a touchdown. Here you go. 41-31 is going to end up being your final. The Bengals, well, they get to take on Baltimore. That's not going to be a game that you want to play. I do not envy those Bengals. But I don't envy the Browns either. They got to take on Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. So both of them have to go from division rivalry game to division rivalry game. Speaking of division rival games, the Buffalo Bills taking on the New York Jets. Josh Allen in the first drive gets sacked by Quincy Williams. Buffalo's forced to punt. Aaron Rodgers, finally on a new team, gets sacked by Terrell Bernard. They gave up a lot to get him. He was the big storyline, but with this, Ed Oliver's sack, maybe they gave up too much because Aaron Rodgers is now hurt, which means that Zach Wilson gets another chance. But first, the Jets punt. Josh Allen is sick of the defense getting to have their fun. It's time for the offense to actually do something. So he fires it to Dalton Kincaid, the rookie tight end. It's 7-0 Buffalo. Then, on the ensuing kickoff, Mecole Hardman Jr. decides he's going to try and help Zach Wilson out as much as he can because he definitely needs it. Zach Wilson appreciates it, and he repays Hardman's hard work by throwing to Allen Lazard, who gets within the red zone on a 57-yard pass. And then Wilson just hands it off to new acquisition Dalvin Cook, the former Viking. He's tied up at 7. To end the first quarter, Josh Allen gets wrapped up and sacked by the other Williams. It's Quinnen Williams. To start the second quarter, Josh Allen gets wrapped up and taken out by Michael Carter II this time. So they punt. Zach Wilson says, "Thank you. Let me throw to another Wilson." It's Garrett Wilson. And now the Jets go up 14-7 off that 53-yarder. Deontay Hardy takes it out on the ensuing kickoff. He is wrapped up at about the 25 and fumbles the ball. It's recovered by Quincy Williams, who's going to take it to within the 10, which means the Jets can just toss it to Dalvin Cook again. It's now 21-7 New York. Josh Allen is not happy. So, what's he going to do? Well, why not look for one of your best weapons? Gabe Davis, deep downfield. He could. He might. He can. He won't. But he gets 70 yards. That's more than enough. Josh Allen, on the red zone drive, gets sacked by Quincy Williams. But then he's like, you know what? Fine. You guys want to take me down? Take me down in the end zone. It's a touchdown for Buffalo. Now they're only trailing 14-21. And then a throw by Zach Wilson is picked off and then fumbled. Christian Benford got the pick. Terrell Bernard got the fumble recovery. That lets Josh Allen looking, throws at the last minute to Gabe Davis, and there is no way you're stopping him now with that nice catch. It's tied up at 21, but at the end of a half, Greg Zuerlein going to kick it from 34 yards out. It's 24-21 Jets. Third quarter, Zach Wilson going to try and get some better positioning, but he's taken down by Daquan Jones. That forces the Jets to punt. But then Josh Allen's going to try the same thing, and he's taken down by John Franklin Myers. So Tyler Bass has to come in. 54 yards out, nearly deflected, and it is wide right. That's something you don't want to hear if you are a Bills fan. I'm sure I brought up bad memories. Greg Zuerlein, he's right on. It's 27-21 after a 32-yarder. Then Josh Allen, play action, looking for the man, the myth, the legend, Stephon Diggs. He gets the ball, and he's going to within the red zone, and he's taken down. And that is bad news for Buffalo. He's hurt. So now they got to bring in a replacement. They're going to go with Trent Sherfield to take his spot. So Allen decides to hand it off to Cook. No, not Dalvin Cook. This one is James Cook, and he puts the Bills up 28-27. Dalvin Cook, meanwhile, is going to take the ball, and he's going to fumble it, and it gets recovered by Jordan Poyer. He could. He might. He will. A scoop and score from 30 yards out. It's 35-27. Ed Oliver gets the sack on Zach Wilson here. Zach decides to throw to his right to Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson deep downfield. A 62-yard pass. And he gets to within the 10. That allows Dalvin Cook to score from 8 yards out for a touchdown. It is now 35-34. However, Deontay Hardy going to try and redeem himself. And now he is hurt. This is not going well for either team. So Damian Harris is going to be the man they will get to replace him on kicks and punts. But Josh Allen does orchestrate a drive and decides, you know what, it was fun the first time, let's try it again. Now he scores from 4 yards out, it's 42-34. Terrell Bernard gets an 8-yard sack on Wilson. Zach Wilson, fourth down and long. He's got to do something. He's going to try and use his legs. Bad idea. So it's a turnover on downs. Josh Allen does get sacked by Quinnen Williams. However, Tyler Bass field goal from 27 yards out, more than enough. It's 45-34. Garrett Wilson is going to take this pass from Zach Wilson for 53 yards. And that will hopefully lead to something for the Jets. Maybe? Well, not if Daquan Jones has anything to say about it. He sacks him for 5 yards. So, Wilson looking and fires. A nearly deflected pass right to McCole Hardman Jr. It's 45-41. The Jets go for the onside kick. It bounces and it goes their way. However, last play of the drive, Wilson looks for Lazard. It's incomplete. Bills win this one 45-41. They get the Vegas Raiders next. Jets drop to 0-1. They gotta head to Dallas. That could be a fun game. The real question, though, how long is Aaron Rodgers going to be out? But we saw what Rodgers' new team can do. What does his old team and the Packers do? They took on the Bears in Chicago. Jermaine Edmonds sacks Jordan Love to start the game. And then Khalil Herbert gets to about the first down and a little extra before he fumbles the ball, and it's recovered by Rudy Ford. So the Bears get the ball back. Then the Packers get a touchdown on a 4-yard run from their quarterback, something they don't really expect to have happen all that often. Cairo Santos tries to make a 56-yard field goal, but he misses, so it's still 7-0. Jordan Love then looks for somebody, throws for Jones on a screen, but instead finds Jalen Johnson. Don't worry, the Packers got the ball back, but to start the second quarter, Yannick Ngakoue gets to Jordan Love. But it's okay because Anders Carlson makes a 45-yard field goal. It's 10-0 Packers. Justin Fields says, please, I need something, anything. Jaire Alexander says, I'll give you something. How about a sack? And the Bears give the ball back to the Packers. Then, Christian Watson, probably Jordan Love's favorite target all day today. And this 53-yarder is part of the reason why. Then Aaron Jones says, hey, Chicago, Rodgers isn't the only Aaron that can own you. A 15-yard touchdown run, it's 17-0 Green Bay. Fields says, I need some help. Chase, please! But unfortunately, Darnell Savage says no. That eventually leads to this. Jordan Love looking and fires for Christian Watson, who gets a 41-yard touchdown to make it 24-0 going into the second half. Packers get the ball, and Aaron Jones, you can't stop him. A 24-yard touchdown run makes it 31-0. Then the Bears remembered, oh yeah, didn't we get something to trade the first overall pick for the Panthers? That's right, we did. We got DJ Moore. And DJ Moore, with a nice jumping catch here, makes a 58-yard reception. However, later on in the drive, Justin Fields, looking for someone, looks for Mooney. Unfortunately, that was not on the Mooney. Instead, it was to Rudy Ford. He got his second turnover of the day for Green Bay. Jordan Love looking for someone, and who else is he going to find? Christian Watson on a 50-yarder. And then a little bit shorter fieldage. Love just gives it right to Watson for a 12-yard touchdown. It's 38-0 Green Bay. Chicago, can you do something? Well, if they fake the handoff and let Justin Fields run with the ball, he can make a 51-yard run and actually show he is a legitimately decent quarterback. This lets Cairo Santos try to redeem himself. It's 38-3 on a 36-yard field goal. Then, on the ensuing kickoff, Keeson Nixon. Ooh, this is not good. A 20-yard kickoff return ends in his being hurt, and Emmanuel Wilson will have to come in to replace him. Start of the fourth quarter. Love, looking for anybody he can, and he finds Romeo Doubs from 6 yards out. So it's 45-3. Then Fields trying to make a comeback happen. Not for Sean Gary has anything to say about it. So can Santos make it from 52 yards out? No, it's wide left. So Green Bay just hands it off to Aaron Jones for a yard. So it's 52-3. But then Fields remembers, oh yeah, I got DJ Moore. Throws for him. In the back of the end zone, it's 52-10. But Jordan Love, just to add on for good measure, throws it for who else? Christian Watson on a 42-yarder. 59-10. Green Bay, no Rodgers, no problem. They head to Atlanta next week. But Chicago's got to head to Tampa Bay. Rodgers got a new team in the offseason. The Washington Commanders got a new owner, and they get to host this season to start against Arizona. James Conner fumbles the ball, but it's recovered by Hollywood Brown, but they're forced to punt. Then Brian Robinson is given the ball for Washington. He fumbles, and it's recovered by Jalen Thompson and the Cardinals. That leads to James Conner getting some redemption. Zigzag, just still straightforward regardless. And it's 7-0 Cardinals. But Antonio Gibson says, hey, I might not be a starting receiver or a starting runner, but I am still a threat. A 34-yard kick return. Sam Howell tries to get a little bit extra yardage and a better sight of his receivers here. Unfortunately, he's taken down by Zaven Collins, so they're forced to punt. But don't worry, the defense comes through. Chase Young, the former Rookie of the Year, scoops up a strip sack and takes it into the red zone for the Commanders. And then Howell looks for who else? Scary Terry. It's tied up at 7 now. Josh Dobbs then gets strip sacked again, and this time Jonathan Allen with a scoop and score from 20 yards out. It's 14-7 Commanders. Second quarter. Dobbs says, you know what? I'm done dealing with just getting sacked all the time. Hollywood Brown, a 47-yard touchdown, ties it up at 14. Then Howell orchestrates a drive and looks for who else? Terry McLaurin. Makes it 20-14 because unfortunately Joey Sly doinks this kick. That's all right, says James Conner. We'll just take the lead instead of tying it. It's 21-20 going into the second half. On the first possession for Washington, Howell looks and finds Jahan Dotson, drafted the same year as him, but drafted as a first rounder. It's 27-21 Washington. So Howell gets the ball back later. Unfortunately, he's sacked by L.J. Collier. And then he's sacked by L.J. Collier yet again. 7 yards and then 5 yards right after. So that makes it a 37-yard attempt for Joey Sly. But this time it doesn't even hit the uprights. It's wide right. So that means Josh Dobbs could throw to Connor and just get a score here to take the lead, 28-27. Fourth quarter, Howell running for his life, throws for Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin, can he? Could he? Will he? Not only will he not, but this is what really makes it scary. Terry McLaurin is hurt on this 48-yard pass, which means De'Ami Brown has to come in to replace him. Brian Robinson wants redemption for that fumble he had earlier, so he takes it in. A 5-yard touchdown run makes it 34-28. But the Cardinals are quick to strike back. Hollywood Brown! Can he? Could he? Will he? He will! 76 yards. It's 35-34 Cardinals. Howell needs something. Gives it to Brian Robinson. And Robinson, what an amazing story from him. It's 41-35 Washington. Dobbs moves forward to try and run. Chase Young is thinking, where are you going? Then Cody Barton gets to Dobbs too. Makes it a 10-yard sack. Arizona on a fourth down. They got to make something of it. And it's incomplete. It was going for more. And even though Kaiser White gets the sack, it doesn't matter. Commanders win this one 41-35. They got to head to the mountains to take on Denver next week. And Arizona, they get to host the New York Giants. Speaking of the Giants, they host division rival Dallas to start the season. Daniel Jones, first drive of the game, throws for Darius Slayton. It's 7-0. Giants put points on the board. But then, later on, new kicker Brandon Aubrey scores points for the Cowboys. It's 7-3. Daniel Jones tries to move forward a little bit, but DeMarcus Lawrence is there to take him down. But that's all right. He orchestrates a drive and hands it off to Saquon Barkley for a 4-yard touchdown. It's 14-3 Giants. Second quarter, Brandon Aubrey makes this one from 43 yards. It's 14-6. Cowboys are down, but they get the ball back. And Tony Pollard, replacing Ezekiel Elliott, gets a touchdown. It's 14-13. Then Jonathan Hankins wraps up Daniel Jones for a 7-yard sack. And then DeMarcus Lawrence is there again for a 9-yard sack. They're forced to give the ball back, and that lets the Cowboys at the end of a half score a 40-yard field goal. It's 16-14 Cowboys. Start of the third quarter. Jones looking and finds Darren Waller, and he is going to fumble the ball, and it's picked up by Trayvon Diggs, and he is going to take it in just shy of Giants territory, but that's all right. Prescott looking for an open man, and who does he find? C.D. Lamb. Probably Prescott's best target on Dallas. He makes it 23-14. Gary Brightwell says, hey, I want some of the highlight action. Takes this one out 30 yards on the kickoff return. And then Jones hands it off to Saquon Barkley. Pay this man. He needs it. He's going to take this one 45 yards. Not quite to the house, but that's all right. Daniel Jones will just get sacked by DeMarcus Lawrence. Okay, never mind. Let's try this again. Daniel Jones will just look for Isaiah Hodgins and throw it to him. It's 23-21 Dallas. Pollard will then take it in for the Cowboys to end the third quarter. It's 30-21 Dallas. Jonathan Hankins wraps up Jones for a 9-yard sack, and then Deron Bland will pick it off. So Dallas gets the ball back. Prescott, play action, looks for Brandon Cooks, and he finds him, and he is going to fumble the ball. Trey Hawkins III picks it up, so the Giants get the ball back again. But DeMarcus Lawrence, he's there waiting for Daniel Jones, sacks him for 7 yards, and then he's in the end zone. Deron Bland sacks him. It's 32-21 Dallas. Unfortunately, Brandon Aubrey can't make it 35-21. He doinks it on a 48-yarder. So Jones gets a chance, throws it for Slayton, and it's picked off. You thought it would be caught, but Stephon Gilmore was there for it. And then Cooks redemption. A 54-yard pass is going to get him just barely in the red zone. That lets Pollard just take it in and make it a 39-21 game. Okay, Jones, Giants, it's panic time. Jones looks for an open Saquon Barkley and finds him for 52 yards. Unfortunately, not enough time. So he hands off to Barkley. Makes it 39-28, but it doesn't matter. Dallas wins this one. They get to take on the Jets next week. So from one New York team to the other. Whereas the Giants, they take on the previously mentioned Cardinals. Now, the last 2 seasons, the Cowboys were eliminated from the playoffs by the 49ers. Today, they take on the Steelers and Pickett. First drive, he gets sacked by Greenlaw. But then, right after, throws it to Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson is going to get a 48-yard touchdown. And so the Steelers will strike first. It's 7-0 Pittsburgh. Then, Ray McLeod on the ensuing kickoff. He's going to take it out about 24 yards, but then he's going to be hurt. Elijah Mitchell is going to have to come in to replace him. That's not an injury you want early. 49ers plagued with injury the past few years to keep them from really getting, another Super Bowl. Purdy then throws to Kittle and later on in the drive. That makes it 7-7. Second quarter. Purdy looking deep for Samuel. For a 25-yard touchdown, it's 14-7. But then Pickens throws right to Deontay Johnson. It's tied at 14. Later on in the quarter, Deebo Samuel again is the target for Purdy. It's 21-14 on the ensuing kickoff. Austin McFarland Jr. is going to take it out 30 yards, show that he's a good returner. Unfortunately, Steelers not able to capitalize on it. Third quarter, Purdy. Who else is he going to look for? Deebo Samuel. Can he? Could he? Will he? He will! A 77-yard touchdown. It's 28-14, but McFarland's not done yet today. Another 30-yard kickoff return. Try and give the Steelers some hope. And they do. Take a drive and give it to Najee Harris for a 19-yard touchdown run. It's 28-21 on the ensuing kickoff. Elijah Mitchell says, you don't need Ray McLeod to do your kick returns. I can do just as good of a job. He takes it out 30 yards. That eventually leads to this 14-yard Christian McCaffrey touchdown run. It's 35-21 49ers. And then Pickett throws for who else? Deontay Johnson. Can he? Could he? Will he? He's going to avoid this tackle, but the rest of the 49ers defense is there for him. However, hand it off to Najee Harris. It's 35-27 because unfortunately, this Chris Boswell kick, it doinks. So that means 49ers get the ball back with a lead of 8. And throw is to, of course, Deebo Samuel. He won't score this time, but a 51-yard pass. Pretty good, and it sets up an 8-yard touchdown run from Christian McCaffrey. He's done only good things since he got here to San Francisco. McFarland Jr. says 30 yards? Yeah, that was child's play compared to this. 35 yards, though. Now that's impressive. Goes into the fourth quarter, and look at this. Deontay Johnson, a jumping catch from 44 yards. It's 42-34. But Brock Purdy, this time he's going to look for Brandon Ayuk in coverage in the back of the end zone. He gets it. It's 49-34. Pickett looks for Deontay Johnson, and he gets a nice one. Avoids a tackle. Fortunately, the defender gets back up and takes him down, but a 51-yard pass is nice, and it leads to this 19-yard touchdown pass to Johnson later on. It's 49-41. Then McCaffrey, toss the ball. You cannot stop him when he's healthy. It's 56-41. So the Steelers got to hurry. You know we haven't called today? Nick Bosa. He gets a nice sack on Kenny Pickett for 11 yards. And then Fred Warner, while Pickett's scrambling, takes him down for 4 yards. So it's 4th down. Pickett needs some help. Throws for Freiermuth. And he is going to be stopped. That'll do it. 49ers win this one. 56-41. They head down to LA next week. Whereas the Steelers, they get Cleveland. Well, the team that got eliminated by the 49ers in the wildcard round, the Seahawks, take on their next opponent, the Rams. Jordan Brooks gets a sack on Matthew Stafford for 4 yards to start, and then Stafford throws an interception right to Trey Brown, so the defense gets a nice stop for Seattle. And then Geno Smith, the surprise from last year, to Jackson, Smith, and Jigba for 27 yards. It's 7-0. Matthew Stafford then gets sacked by Jaron Reed, so they're forced to punt. Geno Smith throws it to Tyler Lockett. Lockett's got no one near him. He's wide open, and he's going to score this one. It's 14-0 Seattle. Second quarter. Williams fumbles the ball, and it's picked up by the Rams. However, right after, Dre'Mont Jones sacks Matthew Stafford. They do eventually get downfield, but, well, Quandre Diggs says, yeah, we're stopping this right now. So, Seahawks get a drive downfield, and Smith tosses to Kenneth Walker III. It's 21-0. Smith then gets his next drive. He tries to run a little forward. He gets a first down, and he gets a little bit more. And then, he fumbles the ball, and it's picked up by Jordan Fuller. So the Rams get a nice stop. Can they do anything with it? Well, Stafford, looking for an open man, trying to find Akers. He instead finds Quandre Diggs again. Back-to-back picks by Diggs. And so, he gives the Seahawks a little better field position. And Smith, who just looks for Tyler Lockett. Jump ball catch. It's 28-0 going into the half. Stafford on this first drive in the third quarter gets sacked by Dre'Mont Jones. But the Rams, well, turnover on downs. Smith almost breaks out of this tackle from Ernest Brown, but not quite. That's all right. Just hand it off to Kenneth Walker III, and he's going to fumble it, and it's going to get picked up by Darian Kendrick, who's going to get the scoop and score. It's 28-7. However, Kenneth Walker redeems himself with a 3-yard touchdown run. It's 35-7. But Cam Akers is a good runner, too. It's 35-14 now. And the Rams, to start the fourth quarter, they go for the onside kick, and it bounces their way. So the Rams have some hope. Fourth down, though, later on in the drive. Stafford's going to run it himself. He converts. And then he's going to hand this ball off to Cam Akers for a 4-yard touchdown run. It's 35-21 Seahawks. But Walker's just as good of a runner. He's going to score. It's 42-21 Seahawks. Mario Edwards is then going to get to Stafford, sack him for 6 yards. That brings up a 68-yard field goal by Brett Maher. No one can make that. It's no good. So, that means the Seahawks get the ball back. Kobe Durant, though, gets to Geno Smith. But that's all right. They'll form a drive and get Kenneth Walker the ball in, punch it in from 4 yards out. This game is pretty much over at this point. But just for good measure, Stafford throws one for Trey Brown to intercept. 49-21 Seahawks win. Like we said before, Rams take on San Francisco, whereas Seattle's got to head to Detroit next week. So we know how Russell Wilson's old team did. How did his new team in Denver do in the second year? Well, to start off the game, Marvin Mims Jr. takes this ball 30 yards, and that'll eventually lead to this 39-yard field goal by Will Lutz. Broncos strike first. It's 3-0. Then, on the first drive for the Raiders, new quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo looks and finds Austin Hooper on a 37-yard touchdown pass. It's 7-3 Raiders. Then, Wilson tries throwing it, looks for an open man. Instead, it's intercepted by Marcus Peters. However, on the next drive for the Raiders, Jonathan Harris will get through the offensive line and get a sack. That forces them to punt. Wilson then tries throwing it in, this time to Jerry Jeudy, and he will get it in the back of the end zone. It's 10-7 Broncos. Second quarter, Garoppolo, play action, looking for an open man. Throws for Devontae Adams in the back of the end zone. It's 14-10 Raiders. But then, on the next drive, Divine Diablo gets to Russell Wilson. However, Russell Wilson, not phased, throws for Jerry Jeudy, who is wide open. No one's going to catch him on this one. A 56-yard touchdown at 17-14 Broncos. But then, Raiders orchestrate a drive. Garoppolo, play action, looks and finds Hunter Renfrow, and he's going to score it. It's 21-17. Then, Wilson looking, tries to run with it. Instead, it's a strip sack that's recovered by Bilal Nichols. He will take it into the deep red zone, which then gives Garoppolo a chance to find Jacoby Myers. It's 28-17 Raiders, and then, just to end the half on a good note, if you're Vegas, Bilal Nichols now gets a sack. Third quarter, Raiders get the ball first. Play action by Garoppolo, but Randy Gregory isn't fooled. It's a 10-yard sack. However, later on, Garoppolo looking and firing for Jacoby Myers, who is deep into Broncos territory. Defender tries to tackle him from far out, but can't do it. So it's 35-17 Vegas. Wilson then, play action, just gets the pass off in time to try and get it to Cortland Sutton, who will not be stopped. It's 35-24. The Raiders strike back right away with a play action of their own, throw to Devontae Adams, and he is going to dive for it into the end zone, 42-24. Broncos are forced to punt on their next drive, but then Garoppolo throws for Jacoby Myers again, and could he, will he will not, but he gets a first down, at the very least. However, later on in the drive, Garoppolo throws for Adams again, and this time, just before he gets into the end zone, he fumbles the ball. It's picked up by Justin Simmons, and that'll lead to this Williams run-in. And so, it's 42-31. Next drive for Garoppolo. Throw is for Myers, and he gets it in the back of the end zone. It's 49-31. Wilson throws for Jerry Jeudy. This one is pretty deep, but the Raiders have some time to catch up to them. So, Jerry Jeudy stopped at a 57-yard pass, so that's pretty good. Will Lutz, unfortunately, they're settling for the field goal, so it's 49-34. Then, Raiders, Garoppolo tries to move, but Frank Clark is there and ready for him, sacks him. They're forced to punt. So, Wilson tries to go for a deep pass to Cortland Sutton, and he does get a good one. It's 56 yards, but time is up, and the Broncos not able to do anything with it. Raiders win this one, 49-34. They get Buffalo next week in Buffalo, whereas the Broncos, they have an upstart Washington team that's hungry for another win. Now, the Raiders decided to move on from Derek Carr. However, Derek Carr did get a new starting job in New Orleans, who's hosting the Tennessee Titans today. First drive of the game, Ryan Tannehill looks and finds Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks is going to make this a 55-yard reception. That'll help set up this 4-yard touchdown run from the king himself, King Henry. It's 7-0 Tennessee scores first. Derek Carr on his first drive with New Orleans immediately gets sacked by Jeffrey Simmons. However, right afterwards, Carr looking and fires for Chris Olave. He's got just as many weapons as what Ryan Tannehill has. Don't make it look like Carr is without the weapons he's got. 58-yarder. That eventually leads to this Blake Group 36-yard field goal. It's 7-3 Tennessee. However, on the next drive for the Titans, a toss that was for Henry is instead picked off by Marshawn Lattimore. So now the Saints get the ball. But Carr, while in the red zone, he gets wrapped up and sacked by Danico Autry. That'll lead to another Blake Group field goal, 7-6 to end of the first quarter. Second quarter, Titans are able to orchestrate a drive. Tannehill hands it off to Derrick Henry. You can't stop him. He's too fast and too strong. It's 14-6 Titans. But Derek Carr, he's got a weapon of his own. Michael Thomas's turn to get the reception. And this time, nobody is around him. He is going to score the touchdown. Saints once again make it a one-point game. It's 14-13. Next drive for the Titans. Tannehill tries to play action, but they're already waiting for him. Pete Werner gets the sack. Then they hand it off to King Henry. You cannot stop him. He is too fast and too strong. A 45-yard touchdown. It's 21-13. Carr gets into the red zone on his next drive, but Azeez Al-Shaair sacks him. Then, right after, another sack from Danico Autry. So, it's forced to be a 54-yard field goal by Blake Group. If he can make it, doinks it in, 21-16. On the ensuing kickoff, Kearis Jackson. Dodge and weave, and look at him run. It's a 32-yard kickoff return. Next play, that is from scrimmage. Tannehill hands off to Henry. You cannot stop him. He's too fast and too strong. He is hurt. Worst thing that you could ever imagine if you are a Titans fan. They would want literally anyone else to be hurt if they could, instead of Henry. So Tyjae Spears is going to come in, but they still got time for a Nick Folk 56-yard field goal. It's 24-16 Titans. First play of the second half for Carr. Or first drive, I'm sorry. Jeffrey Simmons wraps him up and sacks him. They're forced to punt. But Ryan Tannehill, well, he's got a decent arm. And he's got DeAndre Hopkins, who they got from the Cardinals in the offseason. It's 31-16. Next drive for the Saints. Azeez Al-Shaair gets another sack. Then Carr looking and firing, but instead finds Amani Hooker in the end zone. It's a touchback. But Titans do have to kick it back. The Saints are in the red zone. Danico Autry gets a sack. Then on fourth down, they try to complete the pass, but they can't. So the Titans get the ball back. Tannehill looking and tries to run, but Cameron Jordan there waiting for him. They do orchestrate a drive that'll let Nick Folk kick a 52-yarder. It's 34-16 Titans. However, Saints are able to orchestrate a drive, hand it off to Alvin Kamara for a 2-yard run. It's 34-22. Then Demario Davis wraps up Ryan Tannehill for a 4-yard sack. Carr tries to do some last-minute scoring, throws one while in his own end zone, but it's once again picked off by Amari Hooker. So, last play of the game, Titans just decide to run up the score. 37-23, Tennessee takes the win. They're going to run with it, but they have to worry because of how things are going to go with King Henry. They get the Chargers next week. The Saints go to Carolina. And speaking of the Chargers, they get to open the season against Miami Dolphins at home. First drive for the Chargers to hand off to Eckler, and he runs it in from 3 yards out. It's 7-0. Dolphins do get it into the red zone. Tua Tagovailoa is wrapped up by Morgan Fox, but then next play, toss to Jalen Waddle, a 16-yard touchdown. Ties it up at 7. However, Austin Eckler just runs it in easily on a 3-yard touchdown. It's 14-7 Chargers. Raheem Mostert shows he can run as well, and he is going to get into Chargers territory before he's stripped. It's going to get picked up by Derwin James. He's surrounded by Dolphins, but he finds some room to run. A 53-yard scoop and score. And the Chargers take a 21-7 lead. Later on, Tagovailoa throwing for Smythe. Instead, he finds Michael Davis of the Chargers, so he turns it over. Then, Austin Eckler handed the ball. However, as he's tackled, he fumbles it, and it's recovered by Javon Holland. So Dolphins get the ball back, but immediately after next play, throw to Waddle is intercepted by Derwin James Jr. So the Chargers get another chance. Herbert looking for an open man and finds Mike Williams, who dives for it, and he avoids getting wrapped up. It's 28-7 now. Then, look at this long throw by Justin Herbert to Keenan Allen. 55-yard reception. Herbert does get wrapped up in a sack by Christian Wilkins, however. So to end the half, a 28-yard field goal by Cameron Dicker. That makes it 31-7 Chargers. Then, in the third quarter, Chargers with the ball. Throw to Keenan Allen. 39-yard touchdown. It's 38-7 Chargers. So, Tagovailoa's first time with the ball in the second half. And it's a pick to Alohi Gilman. So, unfortunately, nothing good for the Dolphins. Chargers forced a punt, and Braxton Berrios is going to take this punt 31 yards to the 40. Can the Dolphins do anything with it? Well, not if Joey Bosa has anything to say about it. We saw his brother earlier. It's a 7-yard sack. And then Asante Samuel Jr. gets in on the action. So, they're forced to punt. Herbert tries for a play action, but Zach Sealer was there waiting for him. It's a 9-yard sack. And then, right after, Christian Wilkins gets the sack. So the Dolphins get the ball back. Tua dropping back. Last play of the third quarter, Jalen Waddle is going to get that pass, and he is going to score with it. 30-yard touchdown. It's 38-14. Then Cameron Dicker kicks it for the Chargers. It's 41-14 now off the doink in. Tua in desperation mode. He gets the ball in shotgun formation, then tries to run forward with it. Asante Samuel Jr. is waiting for him. However, next play, Tagovailoa looking and fires for Tyreek Hill on this one. It's 41-21 Dolphins, so they go for the onside kick. It bounces right back to them, so the Dolphins are going to get the ball. Then, Raheem Mostert handed the ball. He's going to get wrapped up and fumble, but it's out of bounds, so the Dolphins keep possession. Later on in the drive, Tagovailoa throws to Mostert. No one's going to get to him. It's a touchdown. Do they try for the onside kick again? They do, and it bounces their way a second time, but it's still 41-28. Mostert gets the handoff. He's now 41-35. Can they get a third? Ball bounces their way. They get it. Now, there is still hope. Plenty of time. Tua looking, throws for Waddle, and he's going to get into Chargers territory. Can he? No, he can't score. Just outside the red zone. Tagovailoa hands it to Mostert. He's going to try and run for it, but he's wrapped up. Then, about 30 seconds left, throws for Waddle. It is over his head. He can't dive for it. Incomplete. So less than 30 seconds. Handoffs to Mostert. He gets the first down, but the clock is still ticking. They got no timeouts left. Tagovailoa has one last shot with 10 seconds left. Throw is for Tyreek Hill. Over his head. The Chargers come away with the win, 41-35 in a big game. They take on previously mentioned Tennessee in Tennessee, whereas Miami's got to go to Foxborough next week. Ooh, should be exciting. Both Miami and the Chargers had early exits last year in the playoffs. So did the Bucs and Vikings. They play each other. First drive from Minnesota. Logan Hall sacks Cousins. He is able to orchestrate a drive, but not quite enough to score a touchdown. So they'll have to settle for the 30-yard field goal by Greg Joseph. Vikings score first. It's 3-0. Then Baker Mayfield. Well, he's been discarded everywhere else. Can he find a new home in the post-Brady era Buccaneers? With a run like that, he can. It's 7-3 on a 25-yard touchdown run from Baker. But then Cousins has Offensive Player of the Year Justin Jefferson. So they take a 10-7 lead. Mayfield, though, he's got weapons of his own, like Chris Godwin, who's going to take this one as the final play of the first quarter, 50 yards. However, on the first play of the second quarter, Baker Mayfield wrapped up by Brian Asamoah. No worries, though. Baker's got another weapon in his back pocket. Rachaad White is going to take this one 22 yards. It's 14-10 Tampa. Then Cousins hands it off to Madison. He got his own runner, but he fumbles the ball. It's picked up by Jamel Dean, and Tampa Bay has the ball back. They aren't able to do anything with it, but Cousins, who gets sacked by Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. Then, later on in the drive, Cousins tries to run with it. He can't quite, and he fumbles the ball. It's picked up by Levante David in Tampa Bay. He's going to get stopped short of scoring, thankfully for Minnesota, but Rachaad White's still there. It's now 21-10. Cousins, then play action, looks for Justin Jefferson. He scores. It's 21-17. Tampa still got the lead. Then White gets taken down. Asamoah's going to recover the fumble that popped out, but not able to do anything before the end of the first half. To start the second half, Devon Tompkins is going to take this one out 43 yards. Give some credit to him. He really wants to help out Baker Mayfield, who might need some help if he's going to make plays like this. Runs with the ball, gets wrapped up, and then sacked by Dean Lowry. And then immediately gets strip sacked right after, and Danielle Hunter is going to pick it up. Hunter is going to get stopped just short of the touchdown. Almost a scoop and score, but that's all right. Madison's going to run it in. It's 24-21 Minnesota. Then Chase McLaughlin tries to kick it from 45, but it doinks. That's a miss. So Greg Joseph has to come out later on for the Vikings. He makes it from 29 yards. It's 27-21. Rachaad White runs it in for Tampa Bay to start the fourth quarter. It's 28-27. Cousins trying to run with it, but he gets wrapped up and sacked by Logan Hall again. Then they have to punt. Tompkins is going to try and take it out. He's going, and he gets stripped, and it's picked up by TJ Hawkinson, the former Lion. He gets a scoop and score on 30 yards. It's 34-28. Brian Asamoah then sacks Baker Mayfield, but Chris Godwin, Baker Mayfield sees you, And you're going to get this ball and the score. A 35-yard touchdown. It's 35-34 Tampa Bay. Greg Joseph able to get a 50-yard field goal from Minnesota. Can Tampa Bay, though, do they have enough time? They have time for one more play deep in their own end zone. Mayfield looks for Chris Godwin. He's got the ball, but he's surrounded by purple jerseys and helmets. He breaks past them. He could. He might. But he won't. He's taken down short, and the Buccaneers fall to the Vikings. 37-35 Minnesota. Tampa Bay's got Chicago and Minnesota. Close game. They go to Philly next week, just like they did week 2 of last year. And to finish off the recap, we're going to take a look at the 3 first-round QBs that started this week, starting with Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers, who lose Miles Sanders to an injury on a 3-yard loss against the Atlanta Falcons. Chuba Hubbard is going to have to come in as the next running back up. However, it's still deep enough for Eddie Pinheiro to score a 56-yard field goal. They take the 3-0 lead. Then, Desmond Ridder on the first drive for Atlanta throws for Drake London. He is going to fumble the ball, and it's going to get picked up by Von Bell. So Carolina gets another chance with it. However, Bryce Young, welcome to the NFL. Meet Calais Campbell. He's going to make life difficult for you. On the next play, Young throws for Chuba Hubbard. Hubbard running along the sideline. He's going to fumble the ball, but he fumbles it out of bounds. So they still retain possession, but they can't do anything with it, so they got to punt. Falcons next possession. And that is a pick by Xavier Woods off Desmond Ridder. So Young drives him down a little bit, throws his first ever career touchdown to DJ Chark, 10-yard touchdown. It's 10-0 Carolina. On Falcons next possession, Derek Brown gets to Desmond Ridder. They're forced to punt. Eddie Pinheiro then gets this chip shot 29-yard field goal to put the Panthers up 13-0. Falcons once again forced to punt. Then Young gets a little bit deeper, avoids a few sacks, and throws to DJ Chark. Clearly the favorite receiver for him. So that's a 67-yarder. However, on the next play, Jesse Bates. He picks him off. That leads to Ridder handing the ball off to his own rookie, Bijan Robinson, the running back out of Texas. A lot of people said the Falcons took him too early, or that they don't need him. Well, clearly, he's still going to provide on a 46-yard run like that. Then, Ridder's going to play action to Robinson and throw for Drake London. He is taking this one to the house. It's a 30-yard touchdown. It's now 13-7. Hayden Ellis gets a sack on Bryce Young. It's almost confusing to Chase Young. Then Troy Anderson's going to get the sack. That forces them to punt. Then later on, Younghoe Koo gets a chance to make a 48-yard field goal. It's 13-10. Calais Campbell will sack Bryce Young to prevent him from doing any more damage before the end of the half. To start the second half, this one is a fumble recovery that is on the kickoff. I don't know who got that for the Panthers, but I do know Chuba Hubbard is going to score this 16-yard touchdown run to make it 20-10 Carolina. Then Ridder, looking for an open man, throws for Drake London. Clearly the best weapon he's got, since they don't have Calvin Ridley anymore. However, he's going to fumble the ball. He's going to get picked up by J.C. Horn. They are unfortunately not able to do anything with it, so they're forced to punt. Derek Brown will then get to Desmond Ridder on a 7-yard sack. They punt. So, Bryce Young throws for DJ Chark. It's a 50-yard reception. However, on the next play, Young wrapped up and sacked by Troy Anderson. That'll unfortunately force them to settle for a 26-yard field goal by Eddie Pinheiro. It's 23-10 Carolina. Fourth quarter, Ridder looking for an open man, play action, tries to fire for Hollins, and it's picked off by Xavier Woods. Woods is going to take this to the 30, the 40. He's going to break 2 tackles, 4 tackles. Can he? Could he? Will he? He avoids 2 more tackles, and it's a pick 6 by Xavier Woods, 79 yards. It's 30-10. Then, on the fumble recovery, on the fumble made by the Falcons, well, they recovered it. However, on the next play, handoff is to Algier. not very far. Desmond Ridder then throws for Drake London, but it's picked off, and it's fumbled. It is fumbled and picked up by J.C. Horn. He is going to take it himself pretty far back. Almost gets into Atlanta territory, too, with that one. Young, hand off to Chuba Hubbard. He's going to fumble the ball. That's going to get picked up by Grady Jarrett. So, Falcons still have some life left in him. Ridder tosses it to Bijan Robinson. Makes it 30-17. Grady Jarrett then gets a sack on Bryce Young. However, next play, DJ Chark. He's going to jump up and get it. No one around him. He's gone. 37-17. Panthers take a lead. On the ensuing kickoff, Cordero Patterson. He is going to take this one 56 yards. Great starting position for a Falcons team that needs some miracles. And then Ridder, play action, looking for someone. He lets too much time off the clock. Kyle Pitts fights for every yard to get the touchdown, but it doesn't matter. Panthers win this one 37-24. They take on New Orleans next week, whereas Atlanta has Green Bay. Amazing start for Bryce Young for his young career. Pun definitely intended. So we saw what the number 1 overall pick was able to do. What about number 2 and 3? As Houston takes on Baltimore. Lamar Jackson, well, he wanted to get paid last offseason, but when you get sacked for 3 yards by Jonathan Greenard and then throw a pick to Steven Nelson, you're going to start casting some doubt. This is why some people didn't want him paid. But Steven Nelson, look at this man fight for every last yard he can get. Houston's first possession with the ball. First play, they fumble the ball. Damian Pierce dropped it, and Odafe Awe is going to pick it up. So, Ravens get the ball back. However, later on in the drive, Jackson hands it off to J.K. Dobbins. He's going to show that he can run. He's a great weapon for Lamar Jackson. That's a fumble. Houston's going to pick it up. That's Jalen Peter who picks it up. So we still have no score as we go late into the first quarter after a Madubuike sack for Baltimore. Baltimore gets the ball late in the first quarter. Lamar Jackson looking and throwing for Jesse Bateman, but he gets picked off by Derek Stingley Jr. So we go into the second quarter, no score. CJ Stroud going to try and run with it, and he is going to fumble the ball. It's picked up by Marcus Williams this time. Williams is going to get to about the 25-yard line, but Baltimore can't do anything with it. They punt it, and Damian Pierce will run it in for the first score for Houston. It's 7-0. But you can't doubt out Justin Tucker with a 49-yard field goal. It's 7-3. Then Mike Boone's going to take this ball out of the end zone for Houston. He's going to get a 30-yard return. That'll eventually lead into a 24-yard field goal by Kaimi Fairbairn. It's 10-3 going into the half. Second half, Lamar Jackson. Well, if he can't throw, might as well run. So he's going to run it. He's going to go into Houston territory. He's going to get to the 30, and he's going to get taken down. 42-yard run. That sets up this 3-yard touchdown run by J.K. Dobbins. Ravens tie it up at 10. But then C.J. Stroud looks for Collins. Unfortunately, he finds Marcus Williams in the end zone instead. Fourth quarter. Lamar Jackson hands it off to J.K. Dobbins in the red zone. He fumbles it, but he picks it back up. Way to recover your own fumble. Way to hustle. That allows Justin Tucker to make this 24-yard field goal. It's 13-10 Ravens. Mike Boone, he's not done. It's a 32-yard kickoff return. Mike Boone so far has been the MVP for Houston, it looks like. C.J. Stroud going to get wrapped up by Patrick Queen for a 10-yard sack. However, later on in the drive, Stroud looks and finds Dalton Schultz, who's going to run it in. 17-3, Houston takes the lead. On the ensuing kickoff, Devin Duvernay, he's going to take it about 21 yards, but he's going to be hurt on the return. So Gus Edwards is going to have to come in for the returns for Devin Duvernay. That's unfortunate. Well, Ravens, you got the ball. Lamar, who's your option? Well, you bet you didn't expect to hear this name if you were following the offseason. Odell Beckham Jr. He's going to take this 57 yards. He wasn't out. He was out all year last year, but he shows he hasn't gotten any rust from that. And Jackson says, you know what? I'm throwing it to him again. OBJ gets a 20-yard touchdown, makes it 20-17. Dameon Pierce unable to get the first down for the Texans, so they turn the ball over. And Lamar Jackson, he's going to run it with his legs. It's 27-17 off the 27-yard touchdown. Mike Boone going to run 37 yards out of the end zone, but it doesn't matter. He would need a bunch of miracles. They won't get them. Ravens win this one 27-17. Baltimore is going to Cincinnati next week, whereas Houston, well, they get to take on the Indianapolis Colts and their own rookie QB. How well they do against the Jags? Well, it starts out well for Anthony Richardson on his first ever career drive as an NFL quarterback. He throws to Michael Pittman Jr., who gives him his first ever career touchdown as an NFL QB. It's 7-0 Colts. But then Trevor Lawrence throws for Calvin Ridley. A lot of people thought the Jaguars were insane trading for him while they were basically out of the playoff hunt last year while he was suspended. But it pays off with a 79-yard pass like that sets up this 11-yard Travis Etienne touchdown. It's now 7-all. Colts able to organize a drive that lets Matt Gay kick this 34-yard field goal. It's 10-7 Colts. But then, on the Jaguars' next drive, Trevor Lawrence looks and finds a jumping up Christian Kirk. 54-yard pass to Captain Kirk. And that helps to set up this 10-yard touchdown run by Trevor Lawrence. I wonder how many people expected him to do this. It's 14-10 going into the second quarter, but Anthony Richardson, he's not done yet. He will not be dissuaded. He finds Josh Downs. It's 17-14 Colts on the ensuing kickoff return. Jamal Agnew, he is going to take this 22 yards, and he is now injured. That's not good for the Jaguars, because it means that rookie Tank Bigsby is going to be doing return duties. Lawrence, later on in the drive, tries to run forward, but he's taken out by Kenny Moore for the sack. But that's all right, because not long after, looking, firing for Calvin Ridley, he's going to grab it, and he is gone. 58-yard touchdown. It's 21-17 Jags. But Anthony Richardson won't be dissuaded. He looks for Pittman, but he finds Tyson Campbell instead. Now it allows Lawrence to throw for Calvin Ridley for this 69-yard touchdown pass. That's a pretty nice pass. And he is going to get to about the 10-yard line. But on the next play, Trevor Lawrence, looking for something open. He tries to run forward with it, but he's taken out by DeForest Buckner. But next play, no problem. He looks and finds Zay Jones in the back of the end zone. 28-17 Jags. And to end the quarter, they're going to sack Anthony Richardson. Devin Lloyd gets the 8-yard sack. Third quarter, Jags get the ball first. And here's a nice pass to Evan Ingram. Could he? Will he? Can he? He's avoiding a tackle, but he can't. 65 yards, though. Pretty dang good. Trevor Lawrence then runs with the ball himself. And he is going to fumble the ball. But his new friend Calvin Ridley says, "I got you, buddy." Picks it up. That allows Travis Etienne to score this 1-yard touchdown run. Makes it 35-17 Jags. On the ensuing kickoff by Dallas Flowers, he's going to take this one 31 yards. They got a good returner over there in Indianapolis. However, can't do anything with it. Forced to punt. Lawrence in the red zone. Hands it off to Travis Etienne for a 12-yard touchdown. Makes it 42-17. Richardson then gets wrapped up by Trayvon Walker for an 8-yard sack. They're forced to punt. Lawrence gets another chance with the ball. And who is he going to look for? Calvin Ridley, his new best friend. It is a touchdown. It's 49-17 Jags. Fourth quarter, Colts hand this ball off to Zach Moss. He's going to run it in, bounce off of a few defenders for a 5-yard touchdown. It's 49-24. But Lawrence, who else is he going to look for? Calvin Ridley. 43-yard touchdown. It's 56-24. Can they get to 60? Now Anthony Richardson, he just wants to get out of here. Devin Lloyd won't let him. It's a 3-yard sack. But on the next play, looking and firing for Josh Downs. He is deep downfield, jump ball. It's going to get taken down into the Jaguars' red zone. It's a 58-yard pass. That leads to Richardson. Play action. He's going to take this ball himself. Jags defense immediately goes for him like a swarm of hungry sharks. But the ball goes out of bounds on the fumble. That leads to this 4th down conversion by Zach Moss, who runs it in for 7 yards. And then for that last 1-yard run, Anthony Richardson just says, that looked fun. I'll do it myself, though. But it does not matter. Jaguars come away with the win on this one, 56-31. Jags get Kansas City, hoping to get revenge next week for that AFC divisional round matchup. But the Colts, they get the SVGN Game of the Week at Houston. A battle between rookie QBs. Before we go, however, let's take a look at our offensive and defensive players of the week for both conferences, starting with the NFC. For the NFC, the offensive player of the week, Jared Goff of the Lions. Goff threw 17 for 23 with 460 yards off of those 17 completions and 3 touchdowns, giving him a passer rating of 113.8. He even ran for 2 yards. For the defensive player of the week, it's Xavier Woods of the Carolina Panthers, who had 2 interceptions for 86 yards and a pick 6. For the AFC, offensive player of the week, Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was 15 for 18, throwing 549 yards with 4 touchdowns for a passer rating of 159.7. He even ran 3 times for 16 yards with a touchdown. And for the defensive player of the week, Dalvin Tomlinson of the Cleveland Browns with 6 different sacks, despite the fact that the Browns lost to the Bengals. And that's our show. We thank you for joining us for Tecmo Rewind. Join us here on Thursday night when you get to see the Battle of the Rookies as Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts head to Houston to take on CJ Stroud and the Texans. For all of us here at SVGN, the Sports Video Game Network, I'm Joe, signing off saying good night, everybody.